First opening prayers. Dala Dongwar Sipe Dano Bar Sipe Gay Darba Dan Tam Jin Jin Bar Bar De Ju Bar Sipo Tom Je Je Zor Sipe Ma Nong Ka Dan Nyam Pe Sim Jin Tam Je Dewa Dan Den Donga Dan Drai Nyot De La Na Me Ba Yang Ta Bar Zo Pe San Jo Rumbo Je To Bar Zo Hello?
Oh, sorry, my mic was off. All matter sentient beings,
Is
especially those.
anybody reading English?
Yeah, do you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Ina, I can hear you.
Okay. Maybe Kapelama doesn't hear me. So can you hear me, Kapelama?
Oi de je de sam ma de je ba de le nga ye song ge wa la go ma ye ba de le nga ye song ge wa la go tu de re ne zong de ni mo sang da zam je ba de le nga ye song ge wa la go.
Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind.
Sanje Jetan Sojen Jonam Lo Sanja Bada Dana Jasanje Dake Jimso Jive Sonam Je Gula Pinsa Sanjendo Bayo.
In the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Isaye Bridge Suye Medo Dan Rara Lenya Nyede Jimbonde Sanje Yama Mede Pawaya Ruko Namda Yenda Jawa Yo.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and the moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields.
Om Garandevando Ganarana Mandala Padetaya Sova Simje Namje Zambada Loye Seda Jadawa Jejon de Monde Paya Jujan Golo Garda.
Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Good afternoon, everybody. Purvake tata churite ngima ken thoni ma mamthunin rodu ta ngima nga zo di nimba laksa tenen thamja imba nimba laksa tenen labyo re ni te tata jake ke pecha sena jodan di jobje penjok tanan do yi chong tanan do da te la karase yore sena da ga tukso Ngam chen dan je pa le o zo sop chen chupe. Za son lai tu dan ni kor. Ko zon to je san lap tam je omkar ama hong den sum je. Namba ke char pa pa ta sun rang ne son to parma che pa tham sen. Tena sa pon do wa. Ti kap so ri. Ta ti na na. Rang to ko hong le o zan chu ma to. Tele je sa te yong yo mara hong de ka wa gong go yo ta. Ti samba sum jek sen. Ti ko ti na na he yo me ta jek sen na te samba sum jek de ko te sa ma tan na ka tok den de se sa hong gong ja na jek sen na cho go men ro. Yin na ngune da ne che din ro se wa yin na. Ta ta nga so ke ti je rem go kap su yo wa. Je rem go kap la zo wu to ka nyem ten. Samba chung gang pur pa de. 대에 토가 님에된 세조도 진행자점 대화 홍하지 고시 다 문에서는 대 던데 공고로 홍어서 사자도 던데서는 공고 요러와
So we continue with the teachings on Vajrakilaya, and we came to the mantra recitation. At the end of the mantra recitation, there's the small print. In the Chinese sadhana, it's on page 18, the small print, and in the English, the new version, it's on page 27 on top. So it says, light rays radiate to the 10 directions from the seed syllable and the mantra string at my heart, and invoke the essence of the 3 roots sacred bond. All the blessings of body, speech, and mind descend like rainfall in the forms of white Om, red A, and blue Hung, dissolving unobstructedly into my 3 places, and so on. So here in the text, all there really is mentioned is that from the Hung at one's heart, then light rays radiate, but it's not very elaborate. So the text here doesn't explicitly mention where, in whose heart, what heart actually the Hung is, because it doesn't really mention the 3 sattvas, those 3 visualized beings. And it might be okay to just not even visualize those 3 sattvas, and just directly visualize the Hung syllable, the heart and light rays radiating. But in order to really practice that it properly, not a generation stage, the visualization here. So we have visualized ourselves as the deity, and then at the heart center on a sun seed, there is a golden vajra the size of a barley grain, and in the center of that vajra is a sun seed the size of a mustard seed, and on top of that is a blue Hung syllable. So actually this is the location of where we visualize the Hung syllable.
tatanga ti koni ma loya ti jiksena desang go yo no so men ro zo to ka nyema den samban chung gang pur pa de re wa dang bo teni ti to ka nyema den se ji do jin ne ro zang re wa dang bo yi hi samba ti to ka la teni do de chung chung ti te wa la teni hong la ha de ko de wa den yin ba.
So just to be sure, again, at the Samaya Sattva's heart, there is the wisdom sattva, the wisdom being. And at the wisdom being's heart is a very small vajra. And at the hub of that vajra is the Hung syllable, surrounded by the mantra.
Teni tela dambo te ran dorje yon toka la te wog gor marbo. Tene je ga song yore. Dambo woje gor marbo je ga nala. Te dorje yon sa tokar chongor purpa ta we nang do sen. Nyamla den la yihi semban tina. Song ga wa ya je sa ni je tokar purpa derwa sa. Ti toka Nyamedin la Sergio Doji Nende Zamje Dewa Nyamedin Yonga Ndo Zamje Uso Hongbo Putripa Zamje Tarkala Yandogo. Laktao Sukor Gosong Tamre Mapo. Pe Madam Bendan Zimba Goms. Da di Nandrogo Ken Tun Samtena. Da Chungwa Yena Tamre Chung Chung Tende Tata nga chung chingwa kan donzin na yin sen na gonggo re song duwa.
So you visualized so at the time of the mantra recitation, so you visualized yourself as Vajrakumara, and so then there is this what is it, like the red
Yige na zin ma lo yinba tata jima te.
So then at the center is at the heart center is the wisdom being with the Vajra and the Hung syllable. And so then around that are the 9 syllables. And at the beginning of these syllables, one visualizes a red Hayagriva deity. And so I'm holding a lotus in the skull cup. So Hayagriva is visualized as a very small form at the beginning of the 9 syllables mantra, and which is like the, on a mala you have the main the guru bead. So it's like Hayagriva is that guru bead.
Te sapondro la ma te ya. Yige te ma lo ta. Ambo tin chongol ma po na yori la yinba ta cho.
Hige konno this one.
Na da ka ka na yori te ne ma lo yo.
At the time of the mantra recitation, right?
Yeah.
So at the time of the mantra recitation, visualize yourself as Kumara at your heart center. Inside a jewel-like sphere upon a sun and moon seat is the primordial wisdom deity. He's dark blue in color, the size of a thumb joint. He has 1 face and 2 hands, rolling a kilaya at his heart. Within his heart center on the sun seed is a golden vajra the size of a barley grain. In the center of that vajra is a sun seed the size of a mustard seed. On that is a blue hung syllable that is the size of a letter drawn with a hair. Around that are the 9 syllables arranged in the order they are recited. The beginning of these syllables visualize red Hayagriva deity holding a lotus and skull cup. Here the purpose, what? Purpose?
Ang he te na lo yinba. Ta me pa sa thamna ten ren da go go duwa. Tene nga da wa ka psu zo me pa zong sa te toka ke ti saung da ngan ren. Ti ko la san no tang go go yore. Ti ka psu ta che ya la cha chawa che gom ya ta tene khor to so gom ya ta to te sa ka le kha bo re wa. Wa tene sa po gom ya te yinba te so sa po gom ya te ka le kha bo re. Nena zo ke me pa ro zong sa te. Sem te sa te toka saung da ngan ren. Ngan ko to so le te Tambu gabsu nga teramba yendo dachi kanga kanchwa teramba yendo rure yendo sar. Tani te yapo je sar tekundo na tani ti jin ramba yendo kor ngamten kor ye kor sen kor tani se go yore. Tani ngamten ko yomba gabsu kata tana ngam twin sam tani gosong tamren mapo gomyo pate ngam kor yomba gabsu tamren de pa ti ngam kon sam twin sam tani pa temro go yore song yore.
Just the konto tama tamdin la tim dong yore ba.
Mari tamren pa ngam pa temro go yore me pa chan go yore.
Tamdin kongi. Ko me ba khara chan dore.
Tamren pa me pa chan wo to kyo temro go yore.
Ali orish. So if one really visualizes the visualization clearly, then this is how you visualize. But then it's very difficult, of course, to visualize the entire deity with the retinue and so forth very clearly. So therefore, the main thing really to visualize during the mantra recitation is at the heart, the mantra, the seed syllable and the string at the heart. So while you recite the mantra, so for that, you first visualize each of the mantra syllables clearly situated around the seed syllable. And then when you're able to visualize that clearly, then it begins to slowly turn and to the right, so clockwise. And then at the end of the session, you think that Hayagriva dissolves into light and then disappears. So then during the mantra recitation, you think that Hayagriva dissolves.
Marida.
Dini? Ngan kore kapul tina chigore.
Han doimpe kaps mariwa han doimpe kaps samsang han mankora senemu ka sige yoraba. Han koryompe kaps. Han kon yompe kaps tini tamren de pa tana meba chandra. Logo yore je logo yore la yemba.
So sorry, the thing with Hayagriva is that so first you situate the mantra syllables around the seed syllable, and then when it begins to turn, when the mantra circle begins to turn, that's when Hayagriva dissolves.
Tene yemba tata nga tso ti druptam na tene iwe chungchong na tene dali ti na yi sene ta ozen chone ozele jawa tamje ke tukju ko na tene te tamje ko son to ko sanab tamje ta omkar amar hon te yendo ka namba sene chonga chole ngarang chu temgo yo san tata ti druptam na tene yo pa na yi sene gom tene choko yo rawa.
And so then the rest of the visualization, that was just to clarify, and the rest of the visualization is quite clear in the small print of the sadhana. So then, the blessings of the body, speech, and mind descend like afterwards the light rays then radiate and invoke the blessings and the powers of all the Buddhas in this way, which then descend down the form of these inconceivable Vajrakilaya deities, and then they dissolve. We should think that they dissolve into us.
Teni tela nindrop le som sena yongo yorin samsan nimpa nyenyi dropa dropchin sena tende sena nila yeh nindrop nila yeh sena tende sena tsuga yore kanta na tambo ti nimpa ka kapsena me pata tenda ote nimpe yi bata.
And so this is the stage of the approach. So sometimes we speak about the approach, accomplishment, and the activities, or sometimes we speak about 4 branches of consisting of approach, close approach, accomplishment, and great accomplishment. And so in any case, this is the first stage of the approach. So this is how we visualize here.
Tene yimba mikpa sitan chekla tata semchon duen to gom ne tene rang toka toksong han ten dan je pa lo zer song rang nau ye pa ni semchok nau yong pa la hyok tokaran kor tene ozer tene semchok nau ye pa ni song rang yong pa la hyok de toka han ten la den tem song sam ba se tene sipa kap se tene che dang so na nyam dang to pa tham je ya je chin song wa tene se ne da wa te
And then there's a different visualization that can also be done, and that is where you visualize the Supreme Sun in front of you, and you visualize that. So there is a Hung syllable on a sun disk, and together with the mantra garland in the Supreme Sun's heart, and then from your own life force syllable at the heart and the mantra garland, light rays radiate, emanate, and these exit your right nostril and enter into the left nostril of the Supreme Sun. And spinning around his heart center, power is cultivated. Then light rays then exit the right nostril and enter into your left. And as this dissolves into your heart center, it pacifies negative deeds, obscuration, sickness, and demons. And also it causes your longevity, merit, experience, realization, and wisdom to grow. So this recitation is a branch belonging to the closed approach.
Namdan Jinkorwa Namjing, Nada Pongwa Tsangshi Pada Dawa Josena, Batanga Sandro Capsule Lucher, look at Sanela La Goya Tenderindua, Sandro Membata Sidrup Tata Druptap Jepata Sena, look at Sanela Jingoka La Gongoya Yongo Mari, Jingoka La Tamji, Tam Corna Yisen, Tendersi Gongo Yuri, Tenderka Capsina. 다 라탐 제거더니 샤르탄 타나 제 zuboke 바부버가 준조네 나지 라테르 라네 네 직된 감지 라탐 제더니 나다 나그다 끌라야 다라 예드네 제 조선산에 든데세네 다조테 네 줍친 다다 니바니 니 줍바 줍친 스두타 든데 줍친 yenlarin도
And then in the Sadhanam, and the same paragraph of the small print, then after it says this dissolve into me, then it says the deities of my body mandala as well as the deities in union residing within my channels are like the seeds of an opened sesame pot. And they and the deities of the mandala reverberate with the sound of the mantra like the sound of a broken beehive. So this is according to the secret accomplishment practice. In the secret accomplishment practice, we visualize the deities in our own bodies, channels and places, chakras. For example, if we practice the outer accomplishment, which is more elaborate, we are not visualizing the mandala deities in the channels and places of our bodies, but we visualize them like surrounding us like a retinue. And then we visualize, so in this way, and then when we visualize that from their mouths and even each and every pore of their body, the sound of the mantra resounds and it fills up the entire universe with the Kilaya mantra, and thinking that all sound has become the sound of the mantra. So this is the way we perceive during the Drupchen or the Great Accomplishment practice.
Dag tuksole ngamchen uzar tanche pa song janne thon yomje shartu sho kolo yala juten la zane ja la korwe nga jiranda dro Yomjen Khan, Yabji Doji Pogar Temper Mula, Yenyan Kidder Das, Tanga Zote Tata Duptana than the Yuan. Namtrenle was that Hamden Yipan Truce and Yuatana. Yabjari and Yomji Kolo Ye Pound Rakapatam, Majaranda, Jukor, Yomji Sawan, Yapji Doji Show, Rangatsan, Lying Ada Drop. Andre Tokartan Papa Machi, the Gompians, Jiteri.
And so now I've explained these 3 levels of visualization during the mantra recitation. And so then after that, then it continues on to the next small print in the sadhana. And so here we imagine then next that from the life force syllable at the heart center, mantra garland emanates with light, and this leaves your mouth and enters into the mouth of the mother as it travels through the 4 chakras and invokes the deities of the channels and places. The mantra naturally resounds. It then emanates from the secret space of the mother and dissolves into the opening of the Vajra of the father. And thus imagining you recite the ground and essence mantra combined into one. And in our sadhana, in the English version on page 27, the second paragraph of the small print, that's what we are referring to here. It says, from the mantra garland, light rays and the second mantra garland issue forth, passing from my mouth into the mouth of the consort. The self-resounding mantra proclaimed by the inconceivable dakas and dakinis in the consort's 4 chakras aroused the mind stream. From the consort's secret place, the mantra garland enters my vajra, and the deities residing within my channels proclaim the sound of the mantra. The mantra garland then dissolves into my heart. I visualize this uninterruptedly.
Yin said that Nipa Ringata, lot some arguing Bondo Chagayorwa. Tenderson, Tete Sarakada. Tetunk and Jola, Yondo, that and rest of Yore. Then Yimba Yanche, Chile, lay year, Dropaco College, Yamapando, Sigona Tendinan and the lesson Yore. Dam Dun, Ham Train, Corva, Les. Vajrakado na chopa top yun tripe. Chele namba ye drupar sam. Tesa tatendesen chele namba ye chapchi the drupa droko yo samba sena droko. Te mena yang so sen te sena drupa la gana asi. Vajrakabo ke hiwele droko yo ba. Tene vajra sepon trine te ke jebele. Vajra mapon trine wangele. Was the Jana Tabule Drogo Sambas Tale Kare Drogona Soso Kataniche was a Kado Telatin. Not that you chipa in I was a Kado Telatin. Mipa Sosos and Niger Drogo is. And some young not Dajut and Jogla Tesa Legia Sosoka Juriak and Kaka and Yanguyorite. That Kaka Mena, Mipa Konaka and less of Jogo is.
And then after that is the mantra visualization for the 4 enlightened activities. So before that, the mantra that we visualizing in this way and while reciting the mantra combines the ground and the essence mantras into one, which basically is that it becomes the essence of all mantra. And so then at the end of that session, one comes to the visualization of the 4 enlightened activities. So sometimes if one is to perform a certain enlightened activity, one can also visualize in this way. And so that is on the next page. And so either you can visualize thinking that you are performing the 4 enlightened activities simultaneously, or you can think that these are performed individually. And so you visualize that So from the mantra chains of yourself and the deities before you, that light rays of various colors emanate out, and then they perform various activities, such as the white light and performs depacifying activities, and the red light performs increasing activities. So the yellow light performs increasing activities, the red light performs magnetizing activities, and dark green light performs the wrathful activities. So you can then, just through the mantra recitation and such visualization, the certain enlightened activities can be accomplished. So sometimes you can actually just practice them after the main mantra recitation, and sometimes also it is practiced as an activity all in itself.
다 풀파 그 용 탐제니 송예와 그 맥바스단 가게 지 맥바스단 같이 휴 가게 진되는 송요래 다양 지 가자 가게 된들라 주파테스 제바 나 맥바 요나 가르레스나 찍데 가르레스나 나제 오저 빠데 바스 레레 인양 도제 요는 삼제마차 파르조스 나 조저 좀 조저 또 도제 요는 거라 거 총총 다 된데서는 제 도체나 이 도제 요는 거죠 도제 요는 거에 샤르를 내장 된다와 나단 주바 주네 되네 적팅 탐체 도제 요는 거라이 조스 도제 요는 그 컴파르 삼스 근데 산에 양하 다주텔라 나 걸라야를 시바스 근데 손도
So then after that,
나 시바 나 시바스 걸라야 말고 나 시바스 나 라이랑 이제는 못 받던데서 보사리
so then the main texts on Vajrakilaya, the scriptures, also mention several other visualizations, and just to mention a few of the most important ones. So there are those, and if for certain individuals, they have an aspiration to practice more a variety or elaboration and various different visualizations. And so one of them is that, so the first one is that you infinite light rays emanate from the mantra, and these light rays become inconceivable Vajrakilaya deities. So many very small, tiny, like atomic, like dust particle forms of Vajrakilaya deities. And then from the mouth of each one of those, mantras and more emanations appear, so that the entire universe becomes filled with the male and the female wrathful ones. So to this visualization is to understand the visualization which whereby one understands the mantra to be the deity.
Ana dijini nga chuni to shibasi jude tela kandri dasina ta yang nga joze tela tene da yin simjin tam je ge dripa jans tema te nyu momba tam je chuni gran yi nyu mong gran yin shiba ta nyu mong gran yin shi wa tela tene yi shi jin shin la gun do nyu momba se ju ta yi shi jiran yin tende je lan jor so as da yin ta de den jin ba ge da nga zu nin jin tam ji me ba nin jin tam ji shi ta tende je ge tene yang nga zo ta wa de nga la nyam ja se ne kala ya da ju te ta kala ya chuni ru shi ba as nga chuni ru shi ba as ju de ri
And the second visualization is the visualization whereby we understand the mantra, the nature, to have the nature of dharmata or reality itself. And so here one thinks that the light rays radiating from the mantra purify the obscurations of oneself and others, and through and through this visualization, as we recite the mantra, we realize the nature of all the afflictions to be dharmata, reality itself. So here we see the true nature of our afflictions. We see that they are actually primordial awareness. And through this, then all dualistic grasping at self and other disintegrates. And so here during this mantra recitation, you are, while you recite the mantra, are resting within the natural state of the view. And reciting the mantra from within such a state is leads to the understanding that the mantra has the nature of dharmata or reality itself.
Tenin sam zala nga zo te nga dawa ke che kar che shu nga dawa chi po mare ta nga nyam ling ke kar che shu ke ye zer ye sodom zer ye sen la kun wa sodom se je te kar re tambo sodom se je te la so chu kyak che de damya konde ni nga zo tata che ni ke ten de se na wa yo re te don de ta te ni yer me ba se na konde yer me ke konde ni ke so de chur konde yer me se na damya kan zer ma ye la ko so dom zer ye se te la kare re se tambo te la ten zen zer la ko yo wa ten zen zer se de te ni la ko nga so namba san de ya te chor yo la ko gong ya te chor wa la ko gong ya te chor ten zen zer ta mek be zer se de te ni ta nga ngang ko la so ba 상원 당 한골 나서 보고야 맥바 이바데 한골 공는 다 맥바스야 되죠. 되니 숨바데 공부서스 공부서 다 가르치시 공부서 때다 따와서 되더라. 다다 때나데 남도 되대. 나 주니 수시 바스 되대. 대나 예선나. 따오고 돌아 되니 건대 예미 다이님이 된다고 따와가 되나 맞초대 냠발 야야 되게 돈다 하고 야 소 공부서선 되려와 되는 존재서서 예바데 다다다가 공이 랍차바려 오저 드롭 더 라소발라 되는 레시아 오저 드롭 더 라소바세는 되니 라코 라소바 제된 감노주 라이라인 주야 그저 제데다 존재서 지마들와 다소돔 제기야스 저 가 전부 차요.
And so then also what's actually most important when we recite the mantra, but not just when we recite the mantra, also in general, we practice the deity. There are those 4 nails that bind the life force. And so first of all, what is binding the life force? And so binding the life force means to bring the life force all together into one, condense it into one, meaning that one recognizes that all these appearances, this dualistic appearance of samsara and nirvana, is actually indivisible. So we are binding the life force of samsara and nirvana into indivisibility. And the binding is the nail. So the nail is what binds or brings together into one. So there's those 4 nails. And the first one is the nail of samadhi, which refers to the visualization of the deity, the form of the deity. And then the second nail is the nail of the visualization of the mantra string, where we visualize the mantra string, the mantra circle, and the seed syllable. And then third is the nail of meditation, which is the most important nail. It is the nail of meditation is actually the view, the natural state, or here it is referred to as the mantra having the nature of reality, or dharmata. Within the view, abiding within the view, there is no division between samsara and nirvana, and self and other are non-dual. So that is what we recognize, the meaning to be realized through the nail of meditation. And then fourth is the nail of emanating and gathering back, which refers to what we just mentioned before, the light rays emanating out and then gathering back. So emanating out, they may perform various activities and then turn the entire universe and all sentient beings into the deity, and then again it gathers back. So that is the nail of emanating and gathering back. So these four nails that bind the life force are very important to our practice.
Tate so take to dom ta country dom go yorisena. Matso tambo teke ko cherem kanam yala tine matso pa mada pa ke che tata kolwa ke matsu zupote takwa lai ko ta niseme pasin so ya dom go yore. Matsa tata ne kap madan kolwa ke ran yinde ne kam chunnan bakcha ke wanganda tawi chungwari. Te shipaga toni tata cherem san demne dondam ke ne tanta takwa takwa ye pati shipa gon cherem san demne tata ngaso madap tata zubo te takwa ke lai ko tan so tikwa si dam somare. Teni tata te nipa nga la so pata sang tang ham tren telatine ta ngaso madapa ke nga ke kak nga kan churba ta teni che ta nga ke karse go che na byu la so pate takwa song tang ya so tikwa si dam so. Teni gongpa zer se je te ke nga so che tata ninzen jin jin churba ka na wa ke lo senje lo pate nime yi shi tang so tikwa dam so. Matso madapa ke lu nga yi sum te taba ko song sanje ko song to song da so jek tu dam so so dom zen teri. Tini jima te ke chonde ke zer se je te ke tata ta nga song khowa nang ke chik le kan ra ma rang khowa ke le kan ra ma ra chik ta chaya me pa che yorwa. Tsu sanje gen ze pa sanje ke che tan ze pa namba ya la so pa tang so jek su dom ne. Iyan me pa se ne so dom ra ya. So domta tendri.
So how do we bind life force into one? So first, when we visualize the deity, the first nail, we visualize the form of the deity. We are binding our ordinary samsaric or the impure body, merging it non-dually, therefore binding it with the pure form of the deity. So now temporarily we are in an impure state of samsara, and the perceptions temporarily are confused perceptions due to the karmic imprints within our mind. So then through knowing that ultimately our nature is pure, then based on this knowledge, we are binding or merging our impure body with the pure body of the deity, merging into and binding the life force into one. So that's the first one. And then the second one is regarding the mantra garland. So through the mantra recitation and visualization of the seed syllable and the mantra circle, we are purifying impure speech and all confused and delusions that arise with regard to speech. And we are binding this impure speech with the pure speech of the mantra. And so therefore we have bound the life force of speech. And then third, with the nail of meditation, now the sentient beings who perceive dualistic existence will perceive things in a confused, distorted way. And this misperceiving mind is bound together with, or brought to be one with, the mind of non-dual primordial wisdom. And so in this way, then our ordinary impure body, speech, and mind becomes the pure body, speech, and mind, or bound together with the pure body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas. So that's the third one. And so then there is also the second one. And then the third one is the emanating of the light rays and gathering back. And so that's also, that's the fourth one. Sorry, that's right. Sorry, let's count. So then in samsara, we engage in various activities that are endless. And similarly, according to that, the Buddhas perform various enlightened activities, such as the four enlightened activities and so forth. So with them radiating out and gathering back, we are binding the life force of these activities, kind of merging with them indivisibly. So that's the meaning of kind of binding the life force.
sem Quran parawap so yon tingani tini ya nimpada tangche nyo tendring gona churta ngune de tane ge tangche ni de galri suri nyomni de suri de churta de tini de ganyan jingban ro jingjo me ban ro yang che dong san san so wo je Quran sem ge ko ngon ro tende che gang le bwe yo ro tende gang la ya de ne ni pa la ya tende sena ya de yo re den de inje me je mo pa kono se ne de se ma de na ya tende so lo lo se na mo pa se je te tang che so na ya lo lo se ne ko ra ta ta ko ni la pa na ye se ni pa da tende se ko yo
And so then you recite the mantra on the basis of such understanding. And so then sometimes as you keep reciting the mantra and visualizing, then sometimes you might grow tired of all this detailed visualization, and then you might even not want to meditate any longer. So then in that case, it's not necessary to really push yourself to do the visualization. It's not as though you can't practice without that too. So you can then switch sometimes to not visualizing at all and just looking at the nature of the mind, just allowing the mind to rest in the natural state, and then from within that state, you're reciting the mantra. And also you can look at when you feel like tired and bored, then you can look at that mind, like who is the one that is being tired and bored and so on. And then you find that there is actually nothing, no one really there. There's just complete emptiness. So that is when you actually have come to clearly see the essence of the mind. So it is fine that at times you just recite the mantra while resting within such a state. So it's not absolutely imperative at all times to do the visualization. Sometimes it's also fine to just relax a little bit. If you grow tired from doing a lot of visualization, and then just like we just mentioned, recite the mantra from within such a natural state.
Oh yeah, ta yinba yang samsana che chedop la sopa. Tende ke che de mikpa se go so yina. Pena yang che cela kar se go che yang te sarka parche yo tan sin tan yang na ne pa chap che o tan tende ke che de yang tende se me chedop la sopa. Okay, mikpa se go yang yung yo ro samsana. Te kapsun tende se no. Nga ko ozer nga le ozer de ni chap kyo tan sha pa ka nam ban ro chu ne pa de me pan chu ne de ni so gyong de je je la ne la che kun cho pa nam dan ya wa se je je ko che mu zhe zhang song ren zhen nam dan ji din qin bo nam je che dang su na丁语句简单嘛，他们就我不对呢，让当送上那了天北，用一当这个多的车头班儿三，好打车了说把当就就多了是不？可能没把这个是过来送的话，因为别家呢，他的得票呢的嘛老远吧。
And so then sometimes there might be a time where there's a need to perform a long life, a longevity practice. There's also then a visualization that goes with that. For example, when there are certain signs that there might be an obstacle to life, or when someone experiences very severe illness and so on. In these circumstances, one can also visualize like a visualization that extends one's life. And so here one visualizes that so it's for longevity for oneself and others, and you visualize that from the light rays of the mantra, infinite iron hooks and lassos emanate. And these gather back the soul essence and life force stolen by the 8 classes of direction guarding spirits. These also gather the longevity accomplishments of the enlightened forms of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the longevity of and merit of the rishis, vidyadharas, and great beings of the world, together with the extracted essence of the animate and inanimate universe. This gathers up and dissolves into you and those who you are protecting. So in this way, also longevity practice can be performed.
Zukjin nu zi je nyen ga chaba na de nam hi je ngo wo ne zumi dong ge je nam hi zhe ne zhe se je de ne de ta zukjin ge la so ge na sang ru ba zhe se je de zumi ge la so ge de sang ru do ta de ta wo ge de ni was so good, say, sound number needed. Tayang not done it in the Palatine, the sound Kaya Roma, Zukin and Zumain and Nuzi Pache, Gini, the socket, Namshita Cognit, Zok Lingat, Zoyura, Tabu, Lasipicaps, Zok Lingat Zoyur. It is Netritan is Lengala Tem, then there's a Tem songs and Basi. Then it Temps have a Jiso. Nga ko wazir ke ta chi tata nga ko wazir ti kap sa chi lo ga chala tok de pe me shok chembo yong ga yorwa ti na yin ga tani nga chi ser de ke tata ke no ze zukin zo me ke lenga te troko me la sa pa na yin tata da troko me sa se je te popa ke re troko se na ta sem jing ke ti sta me ke kampo cha se te me la ta na lam sang cheng ne pe kun ne 파트는 생도를 빼텔이야나 양대 면에 짜멜 사바나이 근데 양배 영어는 참자 간단한 레슬라고 거니파 옆터도 식송 삼바세나 근데 좀 봐서 나 농구를 송요래
And then sometimes there is a time where one performs wrathful activities. So it is called the practice of the fierce, the wrathful mantra that annihilates all obstructors and harm doers and so on. So there's also a visualization for that. And so here one imagines that the essence of consciousness inside the hollow of the heart blood of harm doers that have physical bodies is in the form of the syllable ni. The consciousness of obstructing demons without forms is in the form of the syllable chi. And these are summoned and dissolved into the lingam. So there are two kinds of life force that are being summoned. The life force of those beings with a body in the form of ni, and the life force of those beings without a body in the form of chi. And then the life force of these beings is summoned through the mantra recitation of the fierce mantra, and all the life force of the hindrances and the harm doers and so forth are drawn into the lingam, which is in this form a wrathful like a figurine, and then the life force dissolves into that, and so then through the power and the heat of the mantra, these are burned and crushed overwhelmingly. Alternatively, imagine that these are shriveled like a stomach scorched on fire. So a stomach scorched on fire is also maybe a Tibetan expression. So basically, it's something that they have become like completely dried, and something is completely dried, then the moment it catches on fire, it burns like instantly. Or sometimes we also say it's like hair catching on fire. It burns instantly. So just like that, we think that instantly, very easily, through the mantra recitation, they are all completely annihilated.
oh yeah ta ta ponder yang te ta ko le si gwa so na me pa ten de si go re so na ta me pa si tan de so ten de da we rin do de ne kan ta na yang nga so nin pa le la cha ge ji so ta cham ya rin ka te la ta nga so ti yang sa dang ye ja ye da de so lo ge wa nin pa ge ji te ne de so lo ge bu jim se ka re se na nin de trip ji tap je ye ge ala lin sam ke ko jere ma sa wa ta gom ser ma hi pa da dong ta so man tro pa la so pa ta Hirap Jega Alalinsom Song de Juja, not the drama daba, Goram Norhe, not don Mahiba. De put Jun to Jurpa, La Sopa Namta, the Niti Gini Ya, she took Kundi Japa, Nimbo Yega Japa, Linsum de Pateke, took Dingens and Trondo Geramba Mahishan, non-tur, Yingwa La Sopa, Ganyam de Chela Kakama, Resi. The Niti Gini as a Yadalinsum. Loya teke selam nundu tamke manyam she timbar sepa ka tendre ko tonda yinno osa.
So this would be a visualization to do to perform restful activities. And so then after one has completed the mantra recitations, then at the end of the session of mantra recitation, there are 3 kinds of mantras to be recited: the Sanskrit vowels and the consonants, the 100-syllable mantra, and the essence of dependency mantra. And so first, by reciting the Sanskrit consonants 3 times, and these are the syllables of method, and they purify unclear visualization of the generation stage, not knowing how to perform the method of meditation, and not connecting with the symbols, meanings, and signs. And then by reciting the Sanskrit vowels, which are the syllables of wisdom 3 times, this purifies the unclear sounds of mantra recitation, mistakes about the sequence of practice, not knowing the meaning of the mantras, and whatever faults of recitations have occurred. And then by reciting the 100-syllable and the essence mantra of the peaceful and wrathful deities all gathered into one 3 times, this purifies not knowing the stages of emanating and gathering of the enlightened samadhi, errors, confusion, and distraction, and it amends the transgressions of omissions and additions. And then by reciting the Yidharma mantra, which is the essence of dependency mantra 3 times, this causes all the blessings, power, and magic of the practice to not decline, but to stably remain.
Ta ti gi ne ta ta nga zo ya ke tep te na khoda ni khit sak chi ban tan do ga on partin purple la zo hik sana sam chu ban bar ko zon to yun chlai to pa men gan nyam cha kya tu gi che gong ru zo sen ta te chu pa ta to pa ta ni zo zo chap ti to se ya pa te ma lo yu de lan sam san ni tong cheng bo yang se ge yu re tong cheng bo ta ta ti khodan chu gu ban nang ke ye ge chung chung ye chung te ne na te ne yok te ne tuen tar tong cheng bo lam do tuen tar tong cheng ke tar sa si ta tong cheng se na ta ta te khodan ni chak che pa na te na da li te tong cheng se je te ge tong da ka ri se na che ta se na nin ba tong re sa cha de te se na chu tu tang zu zo te se go se ge do wa tong chek se na da tong se je te pa che den de je yin ban da ye na da da nga zo da tuen ni ba ka che sa go na de sa cha de ni te lo yo re yin je min je tong ga go yo ma re sam sam ne tong le ma sa ro go yo re ten ju kan ta na tong che se ge ta ni yong yong kong de je tan de ni ba tong ge ji ni si so yo ba la ti ne den de je cha so yin ban da.
So then in the Chinese sadhana, we are on page 21, which is in the English on page 29. So that verse that says, Hung, glorious great Vajrakilaya and your divine assembly, please come here and make outer and nine secret offerings. I praise your body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities. I confess all unmindfulness, transgressions, confusions, and impaired and broken vows. Please think of me with compassionate love and grant me all accomplishments. So this verse combines offerings, an offering, a praise, and a request for forgiveness or patience. And so if you go to the previous page, there's a small print after just before the Sanskrit vowels and consonants, where it says at the end of the session, as usual, recite the verses to be recited following every 1,000 recitations. So sometimes after every 1,000 recitations of mantra, one recites this Hum Glorious Great Vajrakilaya, offering praise and request for forgiveness. And so that is how it is done at times. But then normally when we do the practice at the end of the session of the mantra recitation, however many mantras we have recited, that's when we read that verse here, starting with Hum. And so sometimes we may even recite more than 1,000 mantras. But so usually that we only just recite this one, this verse here on page 29 in English and 21 in Chinese only once. But then again, sometimes it is done in a way that one first recites every 1,000 recitations of the mantra, one can recite this offering praise and request for forgiveness prayer.
Tene tena tata druptab jepa tartena te lo chadun yotene mira torsum chupake nga te yore maha pinza amerta raktam balenta khahe sejute o sarva pinza amerta balen tat kantana mira torsum bulli nga te yore tisena tata nga so te tena romo japa kapso ten chupo ke chenkola tena sena ora jan chalon so yaniti mean te ton ro yo te druptab jepa la ting ha te na yore yena tata sandu drupta te la ha te mdo nga te mdo te ta sandu te pe tumik mdo tamda ro te la tin sare ma to chita tana te mira to sandu nga te yore tata nga so tana sandu nyamne se pe kapsa chinkola te chobo ke mira to ro yo wa ti kaps romo ka kaps.
According to the elaborate sadhana, at the end of this praise here, there is a mantra, an offering mantra for Amrita, Rakta, and Dorma. And so then at that time, when one recites the mantra, then the instruments play. The shrine master walks around the mandala and sprinkles some Amrita onto the various directions of the mandala, like north, east, and so forth. So that's how it is in the elaborate sadhana. So in the elaborate sadhana, the mantra is actually mentioned. Here in the secret accomplishment, the short sadhana, that mantra is not mentioned, because the secret accomplishment practice is also called the unelaborated practice. But actually, this is where one still offers Amrita, Rakta, and Dorma. So even also during the secret accomplishment practice, even though the mantra is actually missing, not present here, the shrine master still does go around at this point, surrounding circling the mandala and making these offering like gestures of offering Amrita, Rakta, and Dorma.
Oh yeah, tende sene ta nimba la sa ke te to cha so tene ti ge jini ta nga so suma la de torma ta ya sorka phupa ke tene suma to chola te nga so torma ta se chen ta ya ti te la le go yore ye shodan ja ke te ni ke chap je na ndo wa
Petition. So then So then after that, after the mantra recitation, we come to the petition, which is the offering made to the protectors. And in what's the Chinese sadhana again?
ni ke chap je ma re ni ke chap je
Oh, it's on page 28 in the Chinese sadhana and in the English sadhana on page 39.
Ore ta nga cho Jason na tanan cham ya na pan cham ro tanan le so tu so yan thon do ten de tene tarong thön che go sare di ma ke te Saturday la ten thön che ga pa cha ta de chan do ta re tene sen ga sare wo
So since we finished one section and we come to a new section now, maybe we stop the teachings here for today because it's about time. And we will have one more session next Saturday, and probably we will finish next Saturday.
tene twa yo e
Anybody have questions? Let's see. Not in there. Anybody have a question?
twa che yo la ma da
Doesn't seem.
twa me na tene nga cho te se ya mo mo che sin cham ta na yo yo ro wa
So then we stop here if there's no questions with the dedication.
o sunam de tam je ze ba ni to ne ni ba do na ba ze de je ga nam je ba long ro ba se ben zo len ro wa yo la ma gong gang zang wa so wan de ju de ge ze ren wa so wan de zhi le dar yen je ba so wan de la ma dan zhe wa mi ba sin je lo Jomba Bave Jadan Jimbadan Kundo Zambo Dayan Dayan Da Kunja Jiso Daloke Giwan de Da Danje Rabdo Mu Sanje Kusan Nipe San Labdan Junyem Jadim Besan Lab Ginde Mesen Dimbe San Lab Jadan Oyem Holan Robar Yu Datan Kunde Tan Jeje Tusun De Sabada Yube gewe zawandi, dada senjen danjen nyurda lana me ba yanda ba zobe sanjo rumbo je doba jorje. Yibza kunze kunjen chuje je, timde ne la wandon de gomba, renjen parje timbo zinde ba, yedo tuzang gombe. Dinjor je, timbe pa jo lame kape, tin ju saren yon la je, timbe jinda nga dan jo la, timba yon re ne be ta shi yo. Okay, stop here.
Thank you, Lama.
You're welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you, Lama.
Thank you.
Thank you, Igna.
good night, good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.